Welcome to Between the Covers, the show for readers, writers, and lovers of books. I'm Stephanie, and I'm a publisher at Red Penguin Books, where we publish books of all types and genres. So whether you have a book in your head, a manuscript ready to go, or maybe even 300 sheets of loose leaf shoved in a drawer. And yes, we do get deliveries of loose leaf, probably about every month. Visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and unleash your inner author. I'm so thrilled today to be joined by two authors who have definitely unleashed themselves. Our first author today is Mark Stallings, the author of The Elements, and The Elements is book one in the Silver Coin saga. And Mark writes that Sean has always assumed he would be apprenticed to be an herbalist in the sleepy village of Mogu and follow the path of peace, just like his father before him. It's the way. It has always been that way. But when his village is sacked by a raiding force of vicious monsters, corrupted by a dark Q, life as Sean knows it is over. Family dead, villagers slain, his home burnt to ash. Well, I think we're going to hear a little bit more about Sean and his adventures. Please welcome author Mark Stallings. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thrilled to have you here. And this is book one of the series. How many books are going to be in this series?
So I've arced out 11 books for this series.
11 books?
So here's the story. When I initially pitched this idea to the publisher, I basically said, hey, here's this loaf of bread of story, and I don't know how to slice it. And so he asked me what I thought the first book should entail. And so we went through it, and he's like, that's really 3 books. So let's just take what you think is book one and make it a trilogy. And so then that kind of bumps out the end part of the loaf there. So yeah, 11 books is what I have arced out. I'm currently working on book 2, which is The Animals. And then, we'll roll right into book 3 this year.
Wow, fantastic. And how long did it take you to write book 1?
So book 1 was about 5 months of effort, and then the editing cycle started. Right. So I think I finished the book September of 2019, and it was published July of 2020.
Fantastic. And this is not your first book series, is it?
It is. It is actually my first. So my first publication is actually a science fiction story through Chris Kennedy Publishing set in the Four Horsemen universe.
Okay.
And then I co-wrote a book that came out the beginning of this year with a gentleman out of Denver set in that same science fiction world. But yeah, this is my first series.
Your first time at the rodeo. I think that's fabulous. And what a great start you have already.
Well, thank you.
So what inspired this? I mean, this is quite a fantastical story.
So, I mean, I've always been a fan of Tolkien, David Eddings, Robert Jordan, those kind of long, almost monolithic style epic fantasy novels series, really. And so I grew up with Kung Fu theater, all the wire fu, all that kind of stuff. I have a huge background in martial arts, Japanese and Chinese, and had an opportunity to go visit when my brother was living over in the Orient, to go into Japan and China. So I wanted to create my epic fantasy with some Asian flavor. And so then that's where the genre of wuxia really fit in. So it's basically wuxia is magic powered martial arts. So just like Kung Fu theater. And then, I get to weave in other cultures as I go. So wuxia is a made up land for what we're doing. And yeah, it just fit being able to embrace all of the things I love, right? In reading and writing and watching movies. So it just worked out really well.
Awesome. And did you always want to be a writer? Or is
No. So in 2016, I have a buddy here in Colorado Springs. He wanted to be the writer. And so to be the supportive friend, I went with him to a local writing conference. And then as I'm sitting there in the sessions with him, I was like, well, this doesn't seem so bad. I can do this. And oh man, I was wrong. I mean, the first thing I sat down, I'm like, I'm going to write a thriller. Yeah, that was a dumpster fire. So then I deleted most of it and then tried it again. and that was a flaming dumpster fire. And it was just nasty. So then I put that on the shelf and I said, okay, I really need to figure out how to do this. And so then I got in with Dave Farland and Kevin Eikenberry and really learned the story structure, how to do pacing and dialogue, and then got with my publisher James Hunter out of Shadow Alley Press. And then I really writing the elements was really a master's degree in how to structure a novel. And so I'm so grateful for what James and his wife Jeanette, was able to guide me through to be able to produce that book and the subsequent novels that I've been working on.
Fantastic. Wow. All because you were being a supportive friend.
Supportive friend. And then I was like, I got the delusions. I can do this. It can't be that difficult to write a novel. Oh boy. Yeah. That was a hard lesson to learn.
Wow, but you kept moving forward, and you got some skills under your belt. It's good.
Yeah, and I have several projects through a couple different publishers, and yeah, I'm excited for it, and I would like to turn this into my full-time career.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. And for all of our viewers out there who are saying, "Oh, I'm too late to the game," nope, nope.
Oh no. I was 50 years old when my first book was published.
Fabulous.
So
And
that's awesome.
now, tell me about the friend. Is he writing?
He is writing, and in fact, we get together every couple of weeks at a pub. We have like a writer beer event and talk through issues, plot structure. My bad guy seems lame, whatever it might be. There's a group of us that get together and we just work through it. So he's still working on his passion project, space opera. So I'm still a supportive friend.
Fantastic. Tell me a little bit more about this group or any people who are in your life. Do you have people who read your stories beforehand to see? Do you have beta readers? What does this whole look like?
So the both publishers that I work with, Chris Kennedy Publishing and Shadow Alley Press, have stratified beta reading programs. And then I have several local friends that are actual readers, not writer readers. And then, being able to bounce ideas through Shadow Alley Press, with getting together with those authors, or there is a large core of authors here in Colorado Springs that we try to get together at least once a month for beer. And it's just a great group of friends and colleagues that all embrace the primary philosophy: a rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh,
And so that's just been fantastic to, be able to help them with what they need and they help me with what I need. It's awesome.
I so agree with that statement. Absolutely, which is why I do so many things with authors. I want all authors to be succeeding. But you have this whole world and all these people. And a couple of years ago, you didn't have any of this. You walked into
None of it. Absolutely none of it. Yeah.
You're in a pub, once a week with these group.
Well, every couple of weeks. I mean, I don't want to come across as being like an avid alcoholic or something, but yeah, I mean, we get together, we throw out the invites to, everybody that's here, and whoever can show up shows up. And
Awesome.
like yes, it was Sunday. We went up to Monument to a little tap room up there, and we were talking about go to market strategy and rapid release, and just learning all the little bits. Fortunately, one of the gentlemen who's part of our little group of alcoholics is Jonathan Brazy. I mean, he's a great author. He's put out like 70 some books, and just being able to sip from that fire hose of knowledge, I mean, it's just amazing.
Wow. Well, you better watch out. You keep name dropping like this, and people are going to be moving to Colorado Springs, and
You should totally move to Colorado Springs. So we're able to hit a new brew pub every week if we wanted to. I mean, it's amazing.
You are better than any travel agent or real estate agent I've ever heard. Now every writer is going to want to move there, and they're going to be, "Where's Mark? I'm checking out all the pubs. Where's Mark and all the guys?" I had no idea it was such a writer community there.
Huge number of writers.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So I hope you've enjoyed the time that you've gotten a seat at the bar, because after people start, hitting down there, they're going to have to expand.
Yeah, no worries.
So tell me a little bit about your writing process. I always have to ask, are you a planner, or, are you a discovery writer?
So I'm a software guy, so that's what I do day job. And so I'm a hardcore plotter, but a micro pantser. And so where I go with this is that we've developed a book package template, basically mocked up cover, a blurb, and then drive into 7 point story structure. From there, I go into Contour, which is a tool based on My Story Can Beat Up Your Story. So I do all of the beats, the yes no cycles in Contour, export that into an outline, a hardcore outline that heavy influenced from James Hunter with Save the Cat. And then I go into Scrivener, which is the tool I use to write. Now, here's the thing that while I have a great outline and structure all the way through, I basically have 2 or 3 sentences per scene. And so my template is 30 chapters, each has 2 scenes, shooting for 1,500 words a scene. I've got 3 sentences to cough up 1,500 words. So that's why I say micro pantser, because I basically sit there, look at what I'm going to do today, and then I just go for it.
Right.
So I have discovery moments. I mean, and not to throw out spoilers, but I'm going to do it anyway. One of the characters in the elements dies. I didn't plan it.
Wow.
Literally, my editor came back to me and said, "Who told you to do that?" I was like, "It just happened. I mean, it just felt right at the moment. I
Well,
killed a character."
that sounds certainly more than a micro pantser if a character died on your watch, man.
Well, I mean, it felt right for the scene. I mean, it wasn't one of the main characters; it was a supporting character. But it basically, it needed to happen, and it just happened. In that I didn't sit down and plan. I'm going to kill a character today, but I was like, wow, okay, the character just died. It just happened.
Now, I love your explanation of you are probably the most organized writer I've heard from as far as the planning and the beat
Yes.
and everything else that you're using. If somebody wanted to get started, would you recommend any particular things to them?
So I completely recommend starting off with, if you're a brand new writer, My Story Can Beat Up Your Story. There are exercises at the end of each chapter. It's based on screenwriting, just like Blake Schneider did with Save the Cat. But the nice thing there is that you can buy Contour from Mariner Software, which is based exactly on that book, and it has examples that you can walk through step by step to get through all of the beats, all of the yes no cycles.
Hmm.
And they have examples like Star Wars is in there, or Seven, Liar Liar, as a variety of different types depending on what genre you're into. I mean, if you haven't seen episode 4 of Star Wars, then I mean, it is the classic example on the perfect story structure, because George Lucas brought in a guy to do the story structure. I mean, so it was planned up. So it's the perfect example. So that's my recommendation, is start off that. Dan Wells, he's a thriller writer. Fortunate to meet him. He's the one. He has a video set that's up on YouTube for reverse 7 point story structure. It's a set of 5 horribly done videos from when he was at LTUE 1,000 years ago. I think it was like 2011, 2012. I mean, I encourage everybody, just watch that. Just take 20 minutes and just watch it, and it'll tell you how to, at a high level, pull your story together.
Oh,
And so those 2 pieces is what I recommend to everybody.
fantastic recommendations. Coming from a software developer, I knew that you would have exactly what to do next. Now, even with all of these things, what about writer's block? Does that factor in here or?
So writer's block, I think, is a misnomer, if you will, especially from a heavy duty plotter. I know exactly what I need to write. For me, it's more of a motivation thing, with everything that goes on with the day job, and my daughter has medical issues, or I'm pointing over here to where the day job is. This might go sideways. A customer might, all of a sudden throw a wrench into what I'm doing. And then you get to the end of the day, and I say, you have a creativity tube of toothpaste you're given every morning when you wake up. And that's what you have for creativity for the day. And if you expend it all in trying to figure out how to get your insurance provider to actually approve the medicine your daughter needs, or coming up with a creative way to solve the last second problem that the customer has, at the end of the day, your toothpaste tube is, you're kind of squeezing the dregs. So then it's a motivation issue, not a writer's block. I know exactly what I need to do. I just need to have that motivation to be able to sit down and bleed on the keyboard. And
Mm.
that's ultimately where it comes to.
And sometimes you've bled enough during the day and you just can't bleed on the keyboard some
Oh
more.
yeah, go upstairs and lay on the carpet. I mean, literally, and let the cat come over and figure out if I'm still alive. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. How you got a book done in 5 months with everything you just described is just astounding. So where do you find your motivation when that toothpaste tube is down? Because
Is
it's
down low.
yeah.
I like to have I hold a weekly Zoom session with a bunch of writers. When the pandemic hit and cons started getting canceled, I asked one of my colleagues, writing mentors, I said, hey, do you think if this would be a good idea? And so then I've been hosting a weekly Zoom with writers since March of last year.
Hmm.
I mean, every Saturday we get together, and it's not just for my mental sanity, but it's been able to, well, we have fun and we don't always talk about writing. I mean, I know more about Canadian politics than you could possibly want to know just because one of the members is up there in Canada living it, that kind of a thing. Or we talked, I think so this last Saturday, we were talking about food. I mean, all different kinds of food. And, it's just relaxation time, right? Being able to recharge, refresh. I mean, I'm an extrovert. I mean, I like to meet with people, love going to cons and being able to have interactions like with you guys. I mean, so my afternoon is going to be fantastic because I get to talk with you guys, and I'll be all rested and recharged and ready to go squeeze some more toothpaste on a customer.
Fantastic. I love those. I love those analogies. And I think sometimes when people think it like that and see it, it makes a lot more sense and they can push through when they're feeling like I can't do another thing today. And sometimes
Well,
I can't do another thing today.
and authors get stuck in a rut. They're like, I've got to produce. I am under the gun. I'm behind on my deadlines. I've got to squeeze out 2,000 6,000 words. And it's like, dude, give yourself a break. I mean, we are our hardest critics,
That's
our
true.
hardest anti-motivators. I mean, whatever an anti-cheerleader would be. And it's, we got to give ourselves a break. I mean, it's I was at a conference that's held here in Colorado Springs. Another reason to move here called Superstars, and it's every February. And Rebecca Moesta, one of the founders of Superstars, she's up there. And she's like, "You got to give yourself permission to suck.
Mm,
Sometimes you just need to get words down. An editor can fix bad; they can't fix incomplete."
good point. I like that.
Yeah, and so she's brilliant, and she's a great not like cheerleader rah rah, but like realist motivator. Like, hey, life sucks. Sometimes you're gonna got to grab on the bright spots. I mean, I've had moments, and thankfully they're small, where I've literally worked, like my best day so far has been about 6,500 words between midnight and 6 a.m.
Wow.
And I don't do that often, but every once in a while it's like it's going, and you just, all right, tomorrow's gonna suck, but let's do it.
You're on the flow. So to tell us, when is the next book going to be coming out?
I'm hoping for August.
Okay, so we better get started, get reading the first book because there's more on the way, which is fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next author, Raymond Klein, is the author of The Interstellar Police Force, Book 1 of the Historic Mission. And he writes, when the frantic communication from the prison transfer vehicle 964 came into the Interstellar Police Force headquarters on the planet Ashlar, they knew that Prodar Moffat was making his break. By the time they got to the last known position of the transfer vehicle, Moffat and the other prisoners on board the commandeered 964 were long gone into that black vacuum of space. The search went on for months until they stumbled upon their destination, a little known world called Earth. Welcome, author Raymond Klein. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Hey, that sounded very good.
Sounds very good what I wrote there. Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's
thanks. Very nice introduction.
Pincher and there's a whole mission, and you did a good job with that. That's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the historic mission. This is book one. How many books are in this series?
There were going to be three, and I self-published book one, and I'm in the process of completing book two, which hopefully will be out in about another 6-8 months.
Fantastic. And how did you get your start in writing in the first place? Did you go to a meeting randomly like Mark did?
No, no, I did not. It was kind of, I was trying to write a film script for an old Twilight Zone episode.
Mhm.
And I wanted to modernize it and possibly make it into a independent film. So I thought I was writing a script treatment, which I found out later was supposed to be only like 2 pages. I had, I'm sorry, 2 paragraphs. I had 93 pages. So I thought it's, you know, that I created a small novel here. But being that I have no idea about the copyright laws or anything like that, I put it aside. And about a month later, the Interstellar Police Force concept came into my head, and I started working on it. And here we are.
And here we are. So this is your first novel that you've ever.
Yes, it is. Yes. Actually, besides the first one, this is my first attempt at writing a novel.
Okay, good first attempt. And you already knew that it was going to be 3 books. How did you know that?
The amount of escaped prisoners, there's a total of 5 altogether. So I thought the first book, you know, maybe deal with 2, the second book deal with another 2, and then the final book will be the guy they're really after, Proto Moffat.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's how it all worked out. Tell me about what you like to read. Is this your genre that you love to read in? Is that why you were influenced to write here?
I mostly read more Twilight Zone-ish kind of writings. Stephen King. I'm very much into Dean Koontz, and then Jeffrey Deaver, people like that. So I've read a lot. So I kind of figured I had an idea how to structure, you know, chapters and dialogue and things like that.
Awesome. And that certainly gave you a key in. How long did it take you to write the book? Was it a smooth sailing process or?
No, I started about 2006.
Oh.
Yeah, it took a while. I would write for like 3 months and then, you know, put it down for 6, then picked it up again for, you know, 3-4 months. I went through that for a while, and about 2016, I really started working on it, and I had it finished by 2017.
So,
and then, of course, sent it out to beta readers and my editors and things like that.
All right, tell me about your beta readers and your support. Do you have a group of writers, or your beta readers friends that you're, please give me an opinion.
Actually, there's a great website for people that are trying to start out called Fiverr, and you can hire editors, beta readers. Mark's heard of it. And so I hired beta readers first off to read through it, and I was getting very good reviews. So then I sent it out to a couple editors, and the last one being my older brother, Robert. He did a very good job on it and gave me very good suggestions on moving chapters around and things like that.
Fantastic. And then here it is. Now, tell me a little bit about Big Book 2. Same process, different process? How are things going?
It actually went a lot faster. It didn't take as long as book 1. I had it pretty much thought out, and did most of the writing on my computer, which the book 1, I had a notepad and I would jot down ideas and chapters, and then but book 2 is strictly almost strictly on the computer.
Awesome, awesome. So it's going faster. And by book 3, is it going to be like a week?
No, book 3 is kind of fragmented at the moment. I just got to put all the pieces together. So that's going to be a while.
That's going to
But
be
hopefully book 2 will be out in about another 6-8 months.
all right. Sounds fantastic. Now, Mark was describing his writing process. He is so appealing to my organized type A. I am like, wow, a writer after my own heart. But I recognize that certainly not all writers are like that. Tell us a little bit about your writing process.
Well, I wouldn't call it a process. I would call it just sitting down and like I said, I wrote the first one in a notebook, so I was able to kind of, go through there. And but I did have a couple of chapters that just unfolded on their own, which surprised me very much. Which was like watching a movie in my head. I knew where the characters wound up going, and it was a really cool process. Very similar to what Mark was saying.
Yeah, that's cool when it happens.
Yeah, isn't it? It's really amazing, and you sit back and you go, where did that come from?
And that's when the flow hits and things are happening now. Now, Mark accidentally killed off a character. How about you? Anything happened that shocked you?
Nothing that was not planned.
Okay.
Prodor Moffat is a serial killer, so he does knock off a couple of people in the first book, and a lot more in the second.
Okay, so we knew that was coming, though, or at least you, the author, knew that was
Yeah.
right. Yeah, well, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you look back at the screen and say, how did that happen?
Yeah, that's true.
Fantastic. And what would you recommend to new writers, people who are just getting started then? Mark's recommendations were going along with the very exact and thoughtful. How about yourself?
Well, that works for people. In my case, like I said, I just read a lot, so I understood the chapter structure and dialogue and things like that, and of course with the help of editors. And read a lot. You'll be surprised that it doesn't even have to be the genre you're thinking of writing. Read a mystery. Read Stephen King. The Harry Potter books, and it helps. It helps a lot, really.
Absolutely. I mean, Stephen King himself said that if you don't have time to read, you don't have time to write. You have to be reading, and that's
true.
To your development as a writer. Now, do you read anything completely different, or if you were going to write something in a totally different genre, what would that be? Something completely off of
off the charts like this, probably a mystery kind of along the lines of a Da Vinci Code kind of a thing.
Okay.
I would need to do a serious amount of research on something like that.
Sure.
But I always thought that could be something I could look into.
Totally outside of the box. How about you, Mark? Totally.
So I try to challenge myself with picking up books that I've never touched before. And so, you get into the habit, especially as an avid reader, of going back over the same favorites. So like literally right now I'm doing Agatha Christie, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd.
Oh,
I mean, like
Wow.
completely left turn. And so, I've got like I said, that writer group that I get together with every Sunday. One of the guys turned me on to Stephen King's The Stand. I'm not a Stephen King fan. And so I was like, well, I want to read something different. What do you recommend? And it was funny because I read that like literally right before the pandemic hit. So I was like, oh yeah.
I think I was reading it during the pandemic.
This is happening. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like just trying to pick stuff up that I wouldn't normally learn from and just see the dialogue, the diction, the pacing. I mean, so if I were to write something, I think I would like to try like an Agatha Christie style novel. I mean, just that cozy mystery. Can I lay things out to where people kind of guess it but don't guess it?
Very cool. Very cool. Question for both of you. If you were going to set the scene for your best writing, what would it be? Are we talking about you on a deserted island, nothing but, Wi-Fi and a laptop? Do you play music in the background? I had an author once who had the Discovery Channel on. For some reason, packs of animals running across the screen inspired the writing. So what gets those creative juices flowing, except for perhaps Mark turning off the whole work thing and all the family stresses? That definitely helps. But what?
So I was at a writer conference, and one of the authors had talked about how they have to have dead quiet 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I wanted absolutely nothing to do with that. The way life works, especially with traveling or work or children or whatever. I mean, so I can sit in Starbucks, no headphones, and just let the words go. I mean, I can do a normal, I have a setup here at work where I've got a 34-inch ultra wide screen. I listen to like 80s rock when I'm doing writing. I listen to Two Steps from Hell when I'm doing editing, but I can do it anywhere. I can do it in a pub. I could do it I've done it on the floor at a conference. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Now, let me ask you a question. This computer setup where you are right now, that's where you work as a software developer and write, so all at the same desk.
So I have two desks that are together. This over here is work. This over here is write.
Oh, okay, good.
So that way I can actually turn away from work, and then and at 5:00 I've got a little thing because I'm a Mac guy. So I have a thing called amphetamine that will stop at 5. So if I'm not touching the keyboard, then it goes black.
Awesome.
So work stops at 5.
Work stops at 5. How about you, Raymond? What do you do to make this all happen? Because we have to set a scene here.
Well, this is my office, and I separate work from what I do. So I usually turn on Pandora and just listen to music in the background, okay. And that's usually what I always do. As long as I got something in the background, it helps everything flow, I guess.
Awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I love that many people work from home now. It's saving huge amounts of commute, but sometimes because work is at home is no longer an oasis away from work. So that's a balance we all have.
Well, you have to learn that balance. I mean, as with anything, I've been a work from home employee since 1999. And so you have to learn how to compartmentalize and segregate. And sometimes you need that change of space. Like I'll go out on the back deck and then I'll work on my iPad because I have Scrivener on the iPad in addition to Scrivener on my Mac, and they all sync up. And sometimes you just need that kind of change of venue. And that's where music really helps.
I know, I totally get that. And change of venue absolutely helps. Let's think about your books as gifts. If someone were thinking about giving your book as a gift, I want you to describe your ideal reader, and to throw something into the mix, what would you put in the gift basket with your book? What would make a good gift basket? Raymond, how about you?
Well, have you ever heard of the TV science fiction show Firefly? They did a very good job of having a dramatic show with comical undertones and vice versa.
Okay.
So my book is basically a science fiction action comedy. So I would gift it to someone who is a big fan of that kind of genre, like, a big fan of Firefly.
Okay.
And to go along with it, I'd have a little stuffed Doberman Pinscher dog, because he's in the novel too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm picturing the gift basket. There's the book. There's a little stuffed dog.
Yep.
Exactly what your ideal reader is like. Mark, how about you? Who's the reader and what's in the basket?
So the reader for me is anyone that likes underdog characters. And so my character isn't the strongest. He's not the most agile. He's not the biggest, but he's willing to learn. And it's all about the perseverance. And so, so that's really the ideal reader, someone who's looking for a pleasant story to escape with. I mean, reading got me through some tough spots in life, and I'm hoping that I'm crafting a story that will hopefully provide some escapism for somebody later on. And so, yeah, so that's really the reader, male, female, I don't really care. I have got characters that appeal to both. And, what I would put in the basket with them are the Chinese rice crackers. Because, everybody needs something a little, mindless, you look down and be like, wow, I killed that entire bag. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Or noodles. I mean, noodles is kind of a big theme. That's kind of the kind of like comedic relief.
Right.
Where one character is just fascinated with food.
Awesome. Awesome. And final words for our viewers who are writers, because they say 90% of the population wants to write a book. And I believe that, because every day I'm stopped by people who say, oh, I want to write a book. And Mark accidentally went to that meeting, and now look at him. So if 90%
It's true.
of the population wants to write a book, and in some countries, I think it's Iceland, that 40% of the population are actually published authors. They're all writing, and they're, I could say, what else are they going to do? It's Iceland. It's cold. It's dark. We have options here. But there is a huge, basically 90% means everybody, when you go outside, wants to write a book. And you too.
Do it.
So what was that, Raymond?
I just said do it.
Do it.
Do it, but make sure you have beta readers, editors, listen to what they have to suggest, and you don't have to follow it exactly, but definitely listen to what other suggestions that they give you. Really helps.
I like that feeling that you are not an island, that you,
Right.
Writing, while in a sense writing is solitary, but really surround yourself with support on that. That's a great vision. How about you, Mark? Words of wisdom.
So well, I mean, I'll touch exactly on what you just said. So writing is a solitary endeavor, but publishing is a team sport. So, I mean, you need editors, readers, I mean, proofers, the cover artist, I mean, all of that, layout person. I mean, I'm the worst at that. So, but my words of advice for somebody is just do it. And slow and steady wins the race. If you were to just I'm just going to put stars in somebody's eyes. If you were to just write 1,000 words a day, I don't care how fast you write, how slow you write, 1,000 words a day, you're writing 4 novels a year.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. 1,000 words a day is 4 novels a year. And if you can do that, you're doing more than what 90% of the published authors out there do.
True. That's true.
That's good advice. That's even something I believe Ray Bradbury was one of his quotes, was 1,000 words a day.
Yeah.
And that really does help.
Yeah. It's like doing push-ups. If you do push-ups every day, eventually you're going to get great at it. If you write 100 words today, try to do 102 tomorrow. If you just write 100 words a day, I mean, just think of where you're going to be at the end of the year.
Awesome.
It's true. Very true.
Quantify it. But
well, just you're only competing yourself. I mean, I don't compete with Raymond. I bought his book just a minute ago, but
oh, thank you. I greatly appreciate that.
Well, I love that kind of genre, so I'm an avid reader.
Excellent.
So yeah, I just bought it. But where I'm going with that is that just put your stuff out there. I mean, just get it out there. Yeah. There's so many avenues. Royal Road. I mean, I put my first book up on Royal Road. Now there's Amazon Vella. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can get your stuff out there in front of people and get feedback and like I'm spoiled in Colorado Springs because we have Pikes Peak Writers. I mean, that's the conference I went to, where they have a monthly critique. Anybody can come and get. You submit your stuff, you get feedback.
Awesome.
Just put your stuff out there.
All right. So
and it is very easy to get a book published nowadays, especially with self-publishing. You don't have to go through the proper channels of publishers and things like that.
You know, you have many more options that people did just a few short years ago.
Mhm. That is true.
Or I've heard there's a really awesome publishing house called Red Penguin Books.
Well, we are certainly willing. We might be moving to Colorado Springs soon because I hear there's a lot of writers out there. So
There are.
I hear that.
I think I'm gonna move.
So if you want to get started, just do it. Surround yourself with a good community. Move to Colorado Springs. And if you've written a book, come on Between the Covers. We're here to support authors. And heck, we just sold a book while this show was going on.
Absolutely.
You're doing a great job. Let's just remind our viewers about our talented authors here so that you can buy some more books. Mark Stallings is the author of The Elements, and you better hurry up and read that one because book 2 is going to be out, practically by the time this show airs. So get on that book 1 so that you're all ready for book 2 and everything else to come. And The Interstellar Police Force, book 1, The Historic Mission, by Raymond Klein, and there's going to be a lot more to come. And what a cute dog that is! I know he's not supposed to because he's a Doberman. But
Well,
yeah,
he's a
so
talking
cute.
Doberman too.
he's a friendly.
Oh, talking.
Yes.
See, it just gets better by the second.
It was very funny because when I was looking up Raymond and I saw what categories his book was in, and I'm saying, "Ooh, humor, science fiction." I'm loving this. Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us on Between the Covers.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our viewers. And you two have been such a huge inspiration. And I love that because we want to get that 90% actually getting that book done.
There you go. Thank you for having
Do
me.
it.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Covers. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're an author who would be interested in appearing on our show, or perhaps you're a member of a book club, we do host book clubs as well, please visit betweenthecoverstv.com. By the way, at betweenthecoverstv.com, you can watch past episodes in addition to learning more about our authors and guests. So sign up there if you would like to be a guest on the show yourself. And if you have some books that you would like to get written or published, visit redpenguinbooks.com. Thanks so much for joining us.